surprise some of you to learn, but I have never given birth. And like many people of whom that's true, I have an unusual answer to the question, what is the worst physical pain you've ever endured in your life? Great question, thank you for asking. Let me tell you a story. It was a balmy summer day in February and I went for a swim in the Atlantic Ocean. I had a superficial cut on my finger, which became infected with a colony of Staphylococcus bacteria. My finger swelled up like a tire, and even grazing it against something made me double over in pain. It felt like it was going to explode. To make matters worse, I was in a country where I had barely any grasp of the language. Carnival was supposed to kick off in 3 days, and here I was, instead of gearing up to party, I was cuddled in bed, trying to keep my finger from touching anything. By the way, I'm sorry if I'm peeing in anyone's travel bucket list right now, but don't go in the beach in Rio de Janeiro. I know you want to, don't do it. Just go to Posto Novi, sit in the sand, order a caipirinha, and admire the bathing suits. But don't go in the water. The city puts sewage in the water. You can smell it when you walk on the boardwalk from Ipanema to Leblon. They almost canceled the 2016 Olympics regatta because they discovered some kind of antibiotic-resistant super poop bacteria in the water. If it's your lifelong dream to go swimming in Brazilian waters, I have 2 words for you. Costa Rica. But back to Rio. I used Google to find a clinic that was reputed to serve patients in English and took walk-ins. I got on a bus to Copacabana, cradling my finger in the back of the bus, wearing a hoodie in spite of the heat. I got off at the correct stop and walked up 1 flight of stairs underneath the sign that says Clínico Campos. I'm giving you more information than you need so that you know this was a real thing that happened. There was a pretty Brazilian nurse at the reception desk. In limited English, she asked me what the problem was. I told her my finger was swollen and in pain and possibly infected. She gave me a clipboard to fill out. Some things never changed despite the hemisphere. And 15 minutes later, I was in an examination room. A few minutes after that, Dr. Campos, an unremarkable middle-aged Brazilian man, walked in and he looked pissed. Like he had gotten up on the wrong side of the bed, just total grunt, huffed over to me with his chart. Looked at his chart, looked at me, looked back at his chart, and he said in intermediate English, "So, you have swelling and pain in your penis. Any discharge?" What? No, my finger, meu dedo, waving my finger in his face along with my preschool level Portuguese. Dr. Campos was confused. He looked at my finger, looked at his chart, looked at me, and said, "Oh, well, that's different. This says it's your penis," the nurse. Well, that's different. Yeah, let's take a look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, his mood improved 10,000%. And suddenly I understood why he was such a grump when he came. And I could practically read his mind for him being, if I have to look at the dripping genitals of another stupid gringo who has never heard of a condom, I'm gonna lose my mind. Meu Deus, filho de porra pra caralho, when is Carnival over? Sorry, I know I'm not supposed to curse up here. Dr. Campos did what I hoped he would do, which was prescribe me some amoxicillin, which knocks bacteria out. In a few days, the pain had subsided and I was ready for Carnival. Despite the happy ending, some of you might be thinking, wow, Paul, that sounds like the worst vacation story ever. Couple things. I don't actually take vacations. Or for the Brits, I don't go on holiday. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's so adorable. I travel a lot, but I'm usually working while I travel. I was working the whole time in Tokyo. I fit right in. But I got to go dancing at night and do some sightseeing over the weekend, and at least I got to go because I couldn't take the time off. So now that we've taken care of semantics, this might sound like the worst travel story ever, but you know what? It's one of my favorite travel stories. I didn't enjoy it at the time, but I enjoy it now, and a couple of you might have enjoyed it as well. You know what sounds like the worst travel story ever to me? All-inclusive. Sitting on a beach doing nothing, drinking A beverage out of a coconut shell like nobody ever did ever, served to me in Cancun, Mexico by a Filipino guest worker wearing a Hawaiian shirt with a lei and the mother of all cultural appropriation train wrecks. Listening to Jimmy Buffett played by another guest worker, equally laid, against a backing track, while peacocks and flamingos who are not native to the region wander in the shade of imported palm trees. Food that has been carefully dumbed down from the local cuisine so as not to offend the tourist taste bud. Wet t-shirt parties and foam parties at a Carlos and Charlie's that only fills up when the cruise liner is in port. If this sounds oddly detailed, like I've been on this vacation before, no comment. But Paul, I work hard. When I travel, I want to unplug. I get that. But may I humbly suggest that you can unplug at Lake Travis or the Hotel Van Zandt, and I just saved you 10 hours in an airport and an airplane. Take an Uber. If I don't put a call to action in this, Jim will yell at me, so here it is. If you have the privilege of traveling, don't unplug. You're in terra incognita, outside of your comfort zone. That's where growth happens. That's the time to plug in. Try the language, take lessons. I did. How do you think I learned how to curse in Portuguese? Try a food that scares you, or an activity you've never thought of, or maybe even try your favorite activities in a new environment. Meet some locals who aren't paid to be nice to you, but plug in.